get started shortly. We're hoping to have a legal update about her case as well. One of her lawyers just went in. Okay. I know.
circle here, please. Right here. So yeah. So we can actually perfect. Awesome. So our speaker will be here, and everyone else, if you could just stand behind. What? Oh shoot! There my phone.
I suppose so. I wasn't planning on it.
Anybody else want to hold the other side? Other side of the band?
Perfect, perfect. So if you guys want to kind of get more together, get a little more squished, we have some posters. So posters could stand right in front. So Andrea and Chris, if you guys want to stand right here.
Hey, forgot my name for a second.
It's Friday, man. And then Chris, if you want to stand right here, right in front here. And then we'll have OCAD also stand. So if you guys can go here, and OCAD will stand here. And then everyone behind kind of take some space here. Scoot over a little bit. Okay. So kind of everyone take like 2 steps this way. Perfect. And then kind of like get more closer. Awesome. So then, okay, awesome. Do you have a song? Okay, if you want to kind of lower this a little bit so we can show this one off. Okay. Actually, can I borrow that? I'm going to give it to one of our people here. You can carry this side, please. Thank you. And then everyone, again, get closer together. Nancy, you want to poke your head here? Okay. Nice, nice. Actually, it might work best if you can stand next to the older woman so that no one is being blocked there. Perfect. Jessica, if you want to get closer as well, like. Awesome. Awesome, you guys look amazing. Thank you. Looking good.
That's great.
We have more signs. Let me get another one from that. Brandon, they had a question about the speaker.
What's that?
They had a question about the speaker. Do you want to talk to our comms person real
What do you
quick?
need? Yeah, if we cannot use the speaker, just so we could just not. It might not work anyway, so that's okay. I think I told you.
Okay. Michael, do you want to talk?
Thank you all. We're about to get started in like maybe 5 minutes. The attorney is inside actually right now. They want to give a copy of the stay of removal that was submitted yesterday with the 7th Circuit, which has granted it. And we'll provide these updates as part of the press conference. And also a stay with ICE. That one is the one that is still pending. We need that one to be approved so that she's able to be released. And we have confirmation that she's still inside this location behind me. Okay, so just stay tuned. We're gonna give a couple more minutes to see if AJ, the attorney, can come out so that they can give you the update as to what happened inside. Thank you for being here. tell the attorneys. So they didn't really give me a response. We'll talk about it with them later. Yeah. Let's do it.
Hello, everyone. We're about to start. If everyone can please get nice and cozy together. Perfect. Artemio, ¿se puede acercar, por favor? Gracias. Okay.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Yeah. You want to be more in the front? Yes. Make sure our video matters. 1, 2, 3. Hi everyone, we're here outside the Broadview Processing Center in Broadview, Illinois, where we believe that OCAD member Gladys Yolanda is still detained inside the facility behind me. That is why we have called on this emergency press conference. There's going to be more updates from speakers, including Gladys' legal team that we're going to be hearing from today. We welcome, just to make the connections of Gladys Yolanda's release or demand for her release, as well as anybody that has been detained and that is currently inside the detention or the processing center behind me. Hola a todos, bienvenidos, gracias por venir. Mi nombre es Antonio Gutiérrez, con Comunidades Organizadas en Contra de las Deportaciones. Estamos aquí afuera del Centro de Procesamiento de Broadview, Illinois, el cual es un edificio de inmigración o de la migra. Estamos aquí para demandar la libertad de Gladys Yolanda, miembro de OCA por más de 10 años, y también la liberación de todas las personas que han sido detenidas y que ahorita están presentemente en el edificio de atrás de mí. For the English, hi everyone, my name is Antonio Gutierrez with Organized Communities Against Deportations. The first speaker that we have today is Shana Sobrevilla, organizer with Organized Communities Against Deportations. La primera persona que va a hablar va a ser Shana Sobrevilla con Comunidades Organizadas en Contra de las Deportaciones.
I'm sorry, because I'm processing just information as it's coming. We just talked to Yolanda, Gladys. She's here. She's someone that amongst a lot of parents and siblings that were taken Wednesday and Tuesday and today and yesterday in courts and an ISAP. ISAP is a place where people go in good faith as their cases move along. As they have children, as they have families. Gladys Yolanda is someone who has been here over 10 years. She came here for the safety of her family, her daughter, who's still a minor in school, trying to promise at least to do well in school and finish her junior year. Gladys is in the 7th Circuit Appeals. There's still no decision on her appeal. The 7th Circuit yesterday or today said that she should not be deported and she should be allowed to wait her case, due process. Instead, she was detained at the ISAP location on Wednesday and taken to this place that has no beds. People should not be here at all more than a few hours. This is where people are usually processed, fingerprinted. We see them getting ready with the white vans, the same one that she was taken with in to come here. We're seeing them getting ready to take folks. We're hearing Texas, Indianapolis. We're hearing a flight today. She's there amongst other moms. We enter the FSN amongst her and OCAD, and we know the people that are there have children, a lot of them. A lot of them have been coming from very unsafe circumstances in their home countries, just like Gladys, and this is what they're being met with. Just for 3,000, the number 3,000 a day, that's all. En español, soy Shanat, soy parte de OCAD. Ahorita es un poquito las emociones altas porque acabamos de escuchar un poquito de la voz de Yolanda, Gladys. Quiere saber que su hija está bien. Eso es lo que quería saber. Desde el miércoles no ha tenido una cama. Nos dice que las compañeras adentro solamente tienen sillas. Gladys es una mamá bien valiente. Como mamá soltera, vino a Estados Unidos para que su hija estuviera bien. Su número una preocupación es que su hija esté bien. Ella todavía tiene su caso en la corte del séptimo circuito. El séptimo circuito ya dijo que no la deben de deportar, que su caso debe de ser escuchado. Y le dio órdenes que no deben de subirla al avión que van a subir hoy a varios. Ahora le queda a ICE decidir si honra ese derecho. Estamos esperando que ellos nos digan si la sueltan. Otra vez estamos en un día donde solamente quieren números y llenar esos centros de detención. 3,000 al día, eso es todo. Por eso tienen a las mamás y a los papás, a nuestros hermanos, a nuestras hermanas allá adentro. Eso es todo. Ahorita la presión es para la migra, que la suelte.
Que la suelte.
Not one more.
Not one more.
Not one more. Deportation. Not one more.
Deportation.
Not one more.
Deportation.
Ni una más.
Deportación.
Ni una más.
Deportación.
Ni una más.
Deportación.
Now we're going to hear from AJ, one of the attorneys in Gladys Yolanda's legal team from Beyond Legal Aid. And I'm going to interpret in Spanish as much as I can. Y vamos a oír ahora de uno de los abogados del equipo legal de Gladys Yolanda, AJ, y yo voy a estar interpretando en resumen.
Make sure you identify yourself first, last
Of course.
name.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is AJ Johnson Reyes. I am an attorney and part of the legal team for Gladys with Beyond Legal Aid, and I'm here on behalf of Beyond Legal Aid, Gladys, and in partnership and solidarity with OCAD. Our office has represented Gladys since 2017, during which time she has complied with all requests from ICE to appear to several appointments, complied with certain surveillance requirements. Earlier this week, she received a last-minute notice to appear for an appointment at which she was detained. For 2 days, we were not able to locate Gladys. Luckily, my colleague and I were able to speak with Gladys just now in this facility, and she did have a message to share. She wanted to share her thanks and appreciation for all the support for herself and her family, and to everyone here today. That's about as much as she was able to give before losing composure. Do you want to take a chance to translate first, or do you want me to finish?
I'll do the summary up.
So the purpose of coming here today was to provide a courtesy copy of documents that we had already filed with ICE late last night. Those two documents were, one, a petition with ICE for a stay of removal. Our colleagues lodged that at their downtown office and paid the required fee. And also, late last night, we obtained from the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals a temporary stay of removal while her case is pending before that court. So we wanted to make sure that the deportation officers here at this facility had notice and had copies of these documents. We also wanted to confirm her location. We wanted to make sure that, because the persons that we handed and delivered those documents to are not the same people in charge of her actual deportation. Our other purpose for coming here today was to advocate for her release, as she has no criminal convictions. She has, from the state of Illinois, a court order granting her sole custody of her daughter, who needs her, who depends on her mother. When making this request today, we were told that the officers at this building no longer have the leeway, neither the discretion to release individuals, that all those requests must go through headquarters. We were not provided any additional guidance for how to contact headquarters, how to go further in making those requests beyond what is publicly available. We're going to do all we can to help Gladys and to help others in her situation as much as we can. Thank you very much.
Hola, la traducción de lo que habló el abogado. Su nombre es AJ, es uno de los abogados de la organización Beyond Legal Aid, que ha estado representando a Gladys Yolanda por más de 10 años en su caso de asilo y procesos de apelación basado en las decisiones que han hecho algunos de los jueces. Ahorita lo que hemos hecho es que hemos metido una moción de un stay, una orden temporal para parar su deportación física. En este momento ha sido aprobada por una de las cortes grandes del séptimo circuito, pero la otra decisión es de la migra o ICE, que tiene que también aprobar esa orden temporal para que no la puedan deportar físicamente. Queremos localizarla, es lo que hemos estado tratando de hacer los 2 últimos días sin darnos una respuesta exacta de dónde estaba o confirmación de que está bien. Ella solamente, su hija, que es menor de edad, depende de ella. Queremos comunicarnos con ella como sus abogados y es injusto que no se nos esté dando ninguna otra información más que tenemos que llamar a las oficinas de headquarters o las oficinas principales de la migra, las cuales están en el centro de Chicago, y no se nos da una información detallada, número de teléfono o persona que debemos de contactar, solamente que contactemos a esas oficinas, las cuales no nos están regresando las llamadas o comunicando para atrás.
Thank you. I wanted to add 2 more comments. First, at her appointment with ICE 2 days ago, Gladys attended with her attorneys. Her attorneys were not allowed to enter the building for the check-in with her. For the last 2 days, we'd been unable to locate her, and when we brought this up to the officers at this location, they offered this response or excuse. Given the number of detentions that have occurred in the last 2 days, they haven't been able to keep up with updating their records. So typically, if you're trying to locate someone that's detained by ICE, there is a website, the ICE Detainee Locator, where you can insert someone's information and find them. This website's not up to date because of the sheer amount of people that are being taken in detention. Thank you.
El abogado agregó una cosa muy importante también, que en la cita del miércoles en la oficina de ISAP, que Gladys Yolanda se presentó ese día, ella estaba con 2 de sus abogados, los cuales intentaron entrar a la oficina de ISAP con ella para acompañarla. Se les dijo que no podían entrar por medio de las personas del personal de esa oficina de ISAP, y la razón que les dieron es de que han detenido a tantas personas esta semana que están tan retrasados en poner las locaciones y procesamientos de esas personas y que todavía no las han podido procesar, lo cual también es la razón por la cual muchos de los seres queridos de las personas que han sido detenidas esta semana no han podido usar la herramienta del ICE Locator, el cual se puede encontrar en línea para ver dónde están puestos sus familiares o las locaciones físicas. Eso debe de estar siendo actualizado cada 24 horas después de que una persona es detenida por primera vez por la migra. Y otra vez, los mismos oficiales, personas del personal que hablaron con los abogados de Bian cuando estaban intentando entrar a la oficina, les dijeron que ellos están retrasados por las razones de que han detenido a tantas personas en la semana. Era lo que quería aclarar el abogado. Now we're going to hear from Alderwoman Roxana Rodriguez from the 33rd Ward, which is the ward that Gladys Yolanda lives in. Roxana. Ahora vamos a presentar a Roxana Rodríguez, la concejal del Distrito 33, el cual es el distrito que Gladys Yolanda vive. Gracias.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez. I am the alderperson of the 33rd Ward. Gladys Yolanda is a beloved neighbor. She's a mother. She's part of my community. And today my community feels less safe because an incredible organizer that helps us keep our community safe, that offers care to so many, is not with us. Because there is a young person who desperately needs her mother that is hurting right now, as are all of us. I think it's very important to point out that constitutional rights are being violated right now. We're all watching as constitutional rights are routinely violated. There is no due process, and everybody deserves due process under the Constitution. So we're just watching how this happens in front of our eyes. We saw what happened on Wednesday with all of those ICE agents that showed up and just pushed and shoved everybody that were there trying to communicate with their loved ones. This is a crisis. We are going to continue organizing to get our siblings out of detention. We're going to continue organizing to protect people in our communities. But this is an atrocity. It's violent, it's brutal, and it is tearing at the fabric of our communities. It is making us all less safe. En español, mi nombre es Rosana Rodríguez, soy la concejal del Distrito 33. Gladys Yolanda es nuestra vecina, es una organizadora, es una madre. Yo estoy aquí también como la concejal del Distrito 33, pero como madre, como vecina. Y quiero establecer que el hecho de que nos han quitado a Gladys Yolanda de nuestra comunidad nos hace a todos estar menos seguros. Estamos en un momento en el que se está violando los derechos constitucionales de la gente al frente de nuestras caras. Estamos reportando todos los días cómo se está violando la Constitución. Todo el mundo merece un proceso legal justo y eso se le está negando a la gente ahora mismo en el interés de cumplir con cuotas y llevarse a nuestros hermanos y hermanas de este país. Así que yo creo que es bien importante que reflexionemos en eso. Tenemos que seguir organizándonos y tenemos que seguir abogando para sacar a nuestros hermanos y hermanas de detención y también para poder proteger a nuestras comunidades de las deportaciones y vamos a seguir haciendo eso. Todo el mundo vio lo que pasó el miércoles, cómo todos estos agentes federales vinieron, nos empujaron, nos atacaron y nosotros lo que estábamos tratando de hacer es proteger a nuestra comunidad. Y eso es lo que vamos a seguir haciendo y lo vamos a seguir haciendo de las maneras más seguras, pero también tomando los riesgos que sean necesarios para poder proteger a nuestra comunidad. Gracias.
Now we're going to have Lawrence Benito, Executive Director of the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, ICER. Ahora vamos a oír del compañero director ejecutivo de ICER, Lawrence Benito.
Thank you, Antonio. We're here today to support organized communities against deportations in their case with one of their family members. We stand here today, we join them today because we see this case, unfortunately, as part of President Trump's racist agenda that he's enacting. Increased enforcement, travel bans, attacks on the Welcoming City Ordinance and the Trust Act at the state level. And so we are going to continue to organize to push back against these cases, to continue to organize to make sure that people know their rights, and continue to organize until justice is served for Gladys and for people like her. This case, as people saw earlier this week, was one amongst many, and we know of other instances through our hotline that we work in partnership with organized communities against deportation on, with rapid response teams across the city and across the state. So we're here in solidarity. We're here to make sure that our communities are informed. We will continue to organize to make sure that Chicago, the state of Illinois, continue to live up to our welcoming values, and we will continue to organize nationally to make sure that agencies like ICE do not act in ways in which people are not afforded due process and which abuse their power. We will continue to fight, and we will continue to stand in solidarity with communities, organized communities against deportations, and other rapid response teams across the state. Thank you. Oh, I can't do that. That's okay, sorry.
En resumen, el director ejecutivo de ICER, ¿verdad? Otra vez, Lawrence Benito, ha hecho la conexión de que están aquí en colaboración con OCAD con las redes de respuesta rápida, las cuales hemos entrenado en la ciudad de Chicago, y está haciendo también un análisis, ¿verdad?, de que esto es obviamente una conexión nacional a lo que estamos viendo de las actividades de esta institución o agencia de la migra, ICE, ¿verdad?, conocida como sus siglas en inglés, de una agenda racista en contra de nuestras comunidades de color, inmigrantes, que esta administración tiene. Vamos a seguir trabajando, haciendo estas conexiones, haciendo este tipo de organizaciones, organizando este tipo de eventos, porque eso es nuestro derecho el cual está siendo violado, y hace esas conexiones, ¿verdad?, a lo que está pasando con esta administración, de enfocarse otra vez en solamente inmigrantes de color, y lo cual los hace parecer, ¿verdad?, que es una agenda racista. Okay, now those are the speakers that we have for today. We'll take questions from the media that is here, and I'll get the best person to answer if it's not me. So en este momento vamos a tomar preguntas y voy a mantener a la persona que pueda hablar a esa pregunta si es que no puedo yo. Okay. So the reporter is asking, can we clarify from the legal team of Gladys Yolanda whether Gladys Yolanda had already an ankle bracelet? And yeah, they give more context as to whether that is true and why that was?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Nadia Singh. I'm another attorney with Beyond Legal Aid. I also work. Yes, my first name is Nadia, Nadia, last name Singh. I'm also an attorney with Beyond Legal Aid that has been assisting with Gladys's legal team. It is true that Gladys was doing check-ins with ICE for at least a year at this point. She's been on an ankle monitor. She's been in full compliance. Our office has represented Gladys since 2017. We have been assisting her by going through every single legal remedy available to her, which we have not exhausted. We are still amongst the legal remedies that the law provides for Gladys and for her situation. She came to this country seeking refuge, and we are not done exhausting those legal remedies that are available to her per our laws, per our Constitution, per the federal government. She has been in full compliance. She has cooperated with every appointment request. Having an ankle monitor is very, very difficult. They're not the best equipment. They can be really difficult for mothers, particularly single mothers who are trying to maintain a household with a child. When she showed up to her appointment yesterday, it was again in the full compliance that she's displayed for years. She arrived with her attorneys. They wouldn't let one of her attorneys in. They wouldn't let one of the organizers who was going to provide interpretation in. We have attended check-ins with her before. We have entered the office before. We didn't even get a chance to give her a hug. They took her back there, and then they wouldn't let her back out. They wouldn't even let her counsel of record, who has been in the system as her attorney of record for also at least a year. They wouldn't even let her slide a note to Gladys to let her know that we would tell her daughter she was okay. That's always a risk. As soon as ICE detains somebody, especially because of the lack of communication, the lack of transparency, the inability to contact anybody that is specifically in charge of the case, it's always a risk. The moment somebody is in custody, we immediately try to figure out where they are. We try to communicate with ICE and exhaust the new legal remedies that are available for somebody who's in detention. So the moment she was in custody, that is a concern. Our biggest concern is making sure that is stopped. She cannot be deported, in our legal opinion, based off of the legal situation she's in right now. We do have stays of removal pending with both the 7th Circuit and with ICE in their own discretion.
Can you give a little background of her? What country did she come from? What was her legal status when she came to this country?
Yes, Gladys is from Honduras. She came here with her young daughter seeking refuge. Honduras is a very unstable nation currently. A lot of asylum seekers are coming from Central America. They travel through really dangerous conditions that a lot of us can't even imagine, to try to come to a country simply where their children can be safe, can go to school, can go outside. She has been in the process of seeking asylum for many years, and candidly, many people are. The asylum process is very backlogged, the courts are backlogged, things take many, many years. And so that's the process that she's in right now. She is currently the sole legal guardian. We filed a petition here in Illinois. She's the sole legal guardian of her daughter, who was in her junior year exams when her mother was detained.
In high school.
Yes.
So when ICE officials say partially lying, I assume? Like, can you explain what's happening there?
There are different levels to the immigration court, right? So we have the EOIR, the Executive Office of Immigration Review. There are different agencies as well. Immigration, perhaps purposely, makes their processes quite difficult, particularly for individuals who might not be from this country, who might not speak this language. You can actually apply for asylum to 2 different agencies. The Executive Office of Immigration Review, depending on the paperwork that ICE completes, if they complete the paperwork, or you might have to apply affirmatively to USCIS, a different agency. In Gladys's case, she has had an appeal pending. So when you do not get the decision that you would like or that you think is fair with the Executive Office of Immigration Review, you can then appeal that to the Board of Immigration Appeals, the BIA. If that is also denied, you can then appeal to the 7th Circuit, which is a state court. We are currently in the 7th Circuit.
So when an appeal is happening or pending before Wednesday, she should not have been taken?
That is our opinion. She was in full compliance. She's not an enforcement priority. She has relief pending. She's gone through all of the legal channels available for her. She hasn't missed a court date. She hasn't missed a check-in. You know, I think it's hard to say what the priorities are right now.
Can you tell us what the focus will be over the next 24 hours to try to get hold of headquarters?
There is no way to get a hold of headquarters. We will continue to contact the numbers we have for ICE. We will continue to advocate. Our goal is to speak to any and everybody that can help release Gladys. That being said, I think it is purposefully made difficult to understand who that is going to be, who headquarters are, who's in charge of her case, and what they're actually considering. So we will continue to give all of the information we have to anybody that will listen.
Someone pointed out earlier, this is not a detention center, it's more of a processing center.
Yes.
Can you kind of describe the circumstances that she's in there? Like, you said there's no beds. I mean, what is she sitting in a chair? Is she, I mean, what are the, what kind of conditions are in there for her right now?
Our understanding is that she slept on the floor amongst many of the other individuals who are there right now. Because it's not an actual detention center, I think it's fair to say that they probably don't have any sort of services in terms of health services, medical services. That's not something I can confirm, but that would be my understanding. Antonio?
You and AJ just attempted to go inside and were able to get inside the foyer. What was told to you?
Oh yes, well, it took us 20 minutes to get inside. We were told to ring a doorbell that does not exist. So we had to wait until security felt like it was appropriate to come out. We then had to explain what we were there for. Security had to go get more security. That security had to go get somebody else. So once we actually spoke to somebody, we were able to enter. That individual essentially told us that it's not up to him, that he did mention that he was trying to be as civil as possible and that he wanted to have a decent interaction with us, but that surely we could understand that because hundreds of people have been arrested in the past couple of days, all they can do is follow orders, and that there's simply no way to have updated the system for everybody they've arrested. When we insisted and just really asked him to see her, or at least to know where she is, so we can at least try to comfort her daughter and let her know that we saw her with our own 2 eyes. He did allow us a moment with her. We were not allowed to give her a hug. We had to stand at least 10 feet back. She was in handcuffs. She wanted to give her appreciation. When she started speaking about her daughter, she did start crying. The officer said that that was all he could give us, and that was all the information we could have.
The officer said following orders, federal orders, is that what's being told for them?
So ICE is a federal agency. So it's our understanding that ICE has its own hierarchy. Headquarters would be, I believe, a higher agency within ICE. But yes, they do get their orders from the federal government.
So they have to, even though there's a stay, a court stay, these guys are such a lower level, they have to wait for somewhere higher in the ICE bureaucracy to release somebody. The court order isn't enough for these guys to...
Well, it could be. I think it could be enough. I think not only have we filed a stay with the 7th Circuit, we've also which has been granted a temporary stay. We've also filed a stay with ICE discretion. That was filed at the office downtown on 101 Ido B. Wells. In the past, ICE officers that are working were able to exercise that discretion, which makes sense because they're the ones who are actually working in the city of the case. It's our understanding based off of the conversation today that might not be possible, that there are additional layers of bureaucracy and I'm sure backlogged processing that are now in place and maybe have been in place for some time.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I mean, I know they like to report that the people that they took are people that are dangerous, that had a final order. The people we're talking to, the loved ones we're talking to from the days, some of them didn't have a judge filed an order, a decision. You can still be in an ISAP and be waiting on your asylum case to be heard and by the immigration judge. So the spectrum is pretty wide. The folks being taken at courts, sometimes the judges have given them, I've been talking to people with dates given for like next year or 2 years from now, deemed not a priority. We are gonna allow you to, asking for asylum is not easy. It's a very traumatic process and it requires a lot of evidence and preparing so that you can, do process. So yeah, I would say definitely it's a lie. The people here are all not in final orders of removal. They're the folks that were complying. They're not the people that are trying to paint. So yeah, just want to clarify that.
Do you mind saying your name, because I don't think you did it earlier, so.
Shanat Sobrevilla.
If you can spell your first and last name.
XANATSOBREVILLA. And I've known Yolanda Gladys for like 10 years. She's someone who's completely dedicated to her daughter.
I have just another question for the attorneys. I mean, what kind of advice, moving forward, given the fact that the Trump administration now, they feel like this is their only way of getting people, I guess, is going to courtrooms and detention. I mean, what kind of advice are you giving your clients in terms of complying? If they think they're going to comply and then they're just going to be detained anyway?
Yeah. AJ, did you want to answer that?
Well, before I answered that, I did feel compelled to share something else. Again, my name is AJ Johnson Reyes, part of Gladys's legal team. For what it's worth, the officer that ultimately attended us was personally sympathetic to our case. And when we made this appeal to him, he expressed to us, like, look, under a previous administration, without saying so explicitly, like, under previous orders, we did have the leeway, we did have the discretion. Now we don't. We don't get to make those decisions. Those decisions are beyond us with the headquarters. So I just think it is incredibly noteworthy how this system, how this process forces the individuals working within it to suppress their own humanity, to dehumanize themselves and deny their own sympathies, deny their own rationalities and logic, to now comply with, the new orders coming on high. To answer your question about what advice we provide, I have to give a very lawyer answer in that it is very case and fact specific. I think every person, has to conduct their own risk analysis. As attorneys, we cannot advise people to do anything contrary to the law. Nadia, do you want to add anything to that?
Our job is to advise people of all of the possibilities. And so that's what we do. I think it's important to understand that individuals in immigration court don't have a right to an attorney, and there's many more people that need help than attorneys available to give it right now. So while we try to give as individualized immigration advice, while we try to give as much generalized information as we can, things are changing weekly, which makes it very hard for, I think, anybody to know how to protect themselves and even what the right thing to do under the law is.
Do you or any of the advocates have any updates on the other people who got arrested on Wednesday? Like, have you been contacting some of the families? Any updates on them? Like, you mentioned earlier, someone mentioned that some of the people were taken or are going to be taken somewhere. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what's happening for the other people?
Thank you, guys. Hi again, Antonio Gutierrez, ANTONIOGUTIERREZ with OCAD. The question was whether we had any other updates about other individuals that were detained this week or on Wednesday when we were outside the ISAP office. The real answer, right, is that we are in touch with some of them. They have not been able to communicate with their family members. Their family members have not been able to call them either. It's unsure as to whether they need to put funds on their phones in order to receive those calls or find them on the commissary so that they can do that as well. But as we were saying earlier, right, the ICE locator, to our awareness, is not showing Gladys Yolanda or any of the individuals whose family members were in touch with. There are some of those individuals in here, but they don't want to speak to the media. And so I'm representing them and kind of giving you that update based on what you're saying, right? But let's make sure that we do not take whatever ICE is saying as valid and true. We know for a fact that many people, besides who we saw physically being taken outside the ISAP office on Wednesday, were detained. Some of their family members and friends have called the Family Support Network hotline that OCAD and ICE administer. We are in touch with them, but we're not ready to kind of give details about them because, again, we're building the relationship, but that they are, in fact, individuals that that did not have a final order of removal. That we know is true. That the general comment of all of them had one is untrue. Right? Well, we still are learning about the specifics of each person. Because Gladys has been here for more than 10 years. That is not the case for everybody that has been detained. And all of that time, whether you already applied for asylum, whether you are at appeal, a BAI, or whether it's the Seventh Circuit, all of those are different factors as to how people in the past have navigated those court processes and ICE operations and deportation and detention. Right now, what we're saying is that we do not see those patterns. We do not see the law and order of the immigration court system being respected by ICE. There are violations of constitutional rights like due processing and many others. That is what we are highlighting, and we refuse to normalize. Other questions?
Yes, I believe that the Committee on Immigrant and Refugee Rights is going to be holding a hearing soon, I believe this month, about what happened Wednesday and about the state of immigration in the city of Chicago. Tengo entendido que este mes el Comité de Inmigración, de Derechos Migratorios y de Refugiados va a tener una audiencia sobre los eventos que pasaron el miércoles y el estado actual de inmigración en la ciudad de Chicago.
Is there more questions?
So to clarify, is Gladys one of the people that did or did not have a final order removal?
Attorneys?
She did have an order of removal that she is currently challenging in an additional court.
Yes. So again, the levels.
Are they pending with ICE in the Seventh Circuit, or have they been approved, or are they pending?
There were 2 stays submitted yesterday. One of them was to the 7th District Court, where her appeal is being taken place. That one has been granted by a federal judge. The other one is a stay to immigration or ICE. They are literally sitting on that decision right now, and until we get that discretion to approve that stay, they're saying they cannot release her, even though, again, there's already a granted order of like a motion to stay that has been provided at this point.
So will she stay here until that's approved or rejected, or is she, like you're saying, might be deported, getting on a flight, or is she now fighting her case in the detention center somewhere?
I think the possibilities of all of that is all that we have seen over the last 4 months. People were taken without ever seeing a judge and were deported and are still there in a high prison in El Salvador for terrorists, for gang members, without giving any proof or evidence to the media, to judges, to the system, to the public. That's what we have encountered, right? So the possibilities of her being moved, even though there's already a stay granted, is possible. Anything is possible. It's whether we normalize it, it's okay, and whether we're willing to stand up for our communities right now. Does that answer your question? Sí. Creo que lo que hemos estado viendo, ¿verdad?, los últimos 4 meses, es que otra vez, las leyes, el proceso de migración que hemos conocido por más de 13 años como una organización de OCA, no existe en este momento. Estamos viendo que todas las posibilidades son posibles en este momento. Ella puede ser quedada aquí, el cual otra vez no es un centro de detención, es un centro de procesamiento, algo temporal, no hay camas, no hay recursos para que puedan estar múltiples personas atrás de mí, ¿verdad? Y aún así puede ser transferida a otro lugar, a un centro de detención en otro estado, tan lejos como Texas, en el cual hemos visto esos ejemplos en estos últimos meses. O puede ser deportada a Honduras, aun cuando hay una orden que ya fue dada, ¿verdad?, para parar temporalmente su deportación física. Todas esas posibilidades son ahorita posibles, pero no deben de ser normalizadas por nuestra comunidad y debemos de seguir exigiendo que esas leyes, esos procesos de migración, el cual han sido creados y han sido activados por décadas, si no es que siglos en este país, tienen que ser seguidos, así como lo hicieron otras administraciones. I think for us right now is showing our support. I think we're gonna make some noise so that hopefully Gladys Yolanda can see us and exercise our First Amendment right to protest, while we do it in a non-violent way, while we do it in a controlled way, and that should not be taken as a reason to then retaliate against Gladys Yolanda or any of the individuals that are here behind me.
I was just going to say, any concern by kind of isolating her case that it may hurt her? I mean, that maybe having the public attention on it may actually backfire?
Let's go.
I think Gladys is inside representing and being part of many moms. We talked about the risk before this happened. We knew that under this administration, anything is expected. But she still showed up. She still complied. And she said, if something happens to me, I want you to show up. We will have to visibilize what they're experiencing. And that's what we're doing. We're showing her love by showing up, not normalizing what's happening. I want to say that another pattern that I've been noticing with the check-ins, the ISAP check-ins, one of the things she was being asked was information about her children. And that was also being a repeated inquiry with every mom and dad that was showing up on Wednesday. They had to fill a form talking about their children. So to me it says they're going for our parents. They're going for our elders. They're going for our families. So just want to name that. En español. Con Gladys, hablamos muy bien de los riesgos, los conocíamos, especialmente con esta administración. Y una de las cosas que nos pidió es que si le pasaba algo, que saliéramos, que peleáramos, que su historia no fuera olvidada. Y eso es lo que estamos haciendo. Y ella lo está haciendo también porque como parte de OCAR lo estamos haciendo para las otras mamás y para todas las personas. Nosotros no creemos en fronteras o reglas que nos lastiman en nuestras casas o nuestras comunidades. Gladys es una persona valiente, miembro de 10 años con OCAR, con eso bien fundado. Lo que quería añadir también de lo que estamos escuchando, porque nosotros apoyamos con ICER a responder las llamadas de los seres queridos, es que un patrón importante que para ella, como a muchas personas el miércoles y en estos días que les dijeron ven al ISAP, también les estaban preguntando mucho sobre sus hijos. Para mí era indicación de que están yendo directamente con nuestras familias, algo que no podemos aceptar y normalizar. Nada más quería demuestra lo monstruo que estamos viviendo, lo que es esta administración.
Y otra vez, en resumen, ¿verdad? Si el público que nos está viendo el día de hoy oye esto y así como lo dijeron los abogados, ¿verdad? Por favor, si tienen un chequeo, un registro con las oficinas de ISAP o con ICE, por favor de comunicarse y a obtener asistencia legal o recomendaciones legales por un abogado. Beyond Legal Aid tiene una línea de apoyo, de asesoría legal gratis que puede llamar la gente, el cual es muy fácil de encontrar por Google. El Centro de Inmigración Nacional de Justicia, NIJC por sus siglas en inglés, está también dando un poco de... Tienen también líneas de asesoría gratuitas. Por favor de encontrar eso y hacer las mejores decisiones para sus familias y sus personas. Pero se entiende, ¿verdad? Que otra vez, si alguien como Gladys, que ya estaba en el proceso o en el programa de ISAP y tenía un brazalete en su tobillo, el cual estaba dando la locación real a la migra constantemente de ella decidió ir a su chequeo porque no quería poner o exponer a otras personas alrededor de ella cuando llegara la migra al lugar donde ella estaba, ya fuera su trabajo o su hogar o la tienda de groceries, ¿verdad? Y no quería que otras personas fueran impactadas. Por eso ella tomó esa decisión, pero esa decisión es personal para todos ustedes. Porque otra vez, no hay forma de saber qué es lo que puede hacer ICE, pero la mejor forma que podemos estar seguros es estando en comunidad, en organización y hacer esto visible. Porque si no lo hacemos visible, ellos ganan porque estamos normalizando todo lo que está pasando. So in English, again, it's just a summary to what we were hearing from the attorneys and everybody else that spoke today. If you are a community member currently right now that have received a message to do an ISAP check-in or an ICE check-in, please find immigration legal advice. Beyond Legal Aid has an immigration helpline that is very easy to Google that number. Find a way to get that legal assessment, either from them or the National Immigrant Justice Center, who's provide that advice or those possibilities to people so that they can do an informed decision for themselves and for others and their family members. The reason why Gladys Yolanda decided on Wednesday to show up is because, as we've been saying, she's been having an ankle bracelet for the last 2 months that had been giving live location to ICE about her whereabouts. She decided to show up and comply because she didn't want to put anybody else at risk around her, because ICE could get to her workplace, her home, or the grocery store that she was at. And she didn't want to allow others to be targeted. That is the reason why she decided to do that. Let's continue to visualize what's happening, and that we know that the only real way that we can keep each other safe is by being in community and visualizing and talking about it and not letting this go unnoticed, because then we are really allowing them to normalize literally our kidnapping and abductions illegally in many cases. Are there any other questions before we wrap up? Yeah. My name is Antonio, Antonio, Gutierrez, Gutierrez. And I'm an organizer with OCAD, Organized Communities Against Deportations, Comunidades Organizadas en Contra de la Deportación. Gracias a todos.
Free them all! 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 Free them all!
Okay. ¿Qué pueden ayudar con
Okay, yeah.
Let's start doing like a